Hello and welcome to this training video about how to build your CEO identity. And there will be a few things that will be just very unique to you, but I want to guide you also with the things that are generally just the good things to have in place, embody, just really take it in, who are you as this business owner, as the CEO as the leader of your company, right? This is very, very important because it means this is the thing where people are always talking about. It's not as much what you do, it's who you be first. Because if you have this business identity in place and you really embody it, then you all automatically will create and do the things that move the needle in your business, right? So let's jump in. First of all, leadership is oftentimes such a controversial topic, right? Especially for us projectors. We are very powerful. We're meant to lead. We're meant to guide. Leadership is also not an intimidating thing, right? It's just, there's different ways of it. There's feminine leadership. There's also circular leadership, right? Just someone is better at something than you are, and you might be better at something than they are. And so it really just means, I like the definition that I learned from one of my coaches, being seen as a leader means standing up for something and speaking about it, right? But so often that is, especially for us projectors, what we have been struggling with so much, right? Because we have been shunned and kept small and being rejected for standing up for what we believe in and spoke up about early in life, right? So to be comfortable with being seen as a leader, that's why we do the energetics first in the first section about energetics, Now we have all of that in place. So if you haven't done that yet, that's always where you need to get started, because otherwise you can't really put the other pieces. It's like the concrete foundation or the foundation of building a building. The foundation needs to be there first. Everything else otherwise will just fall or not be stable or not be sustainable. I remember having to rebuild my business a couple of times, and every time I got to a certain height or a certain size of my business or income level, I was like, I can't go any further. I have to rebuild it again. My 3-line, but it pays off when you do things right and when you do invest in that energetic foundation, because then everything else is just a little sprinkle on top. And you're like, oh, that makes sense because I've dealt with that already in the energetic section. So being seen as a leader, leadership meaning standing up for something, standing for something, taking a stand for something you believe in, and then being able to speak about it, wanting to talk about it, not wanting to shut up about it, right? It's like what I do, like with the projector stuff. I just don't like shutting up about it, right? So eventually people are hearing it now and they like it. So when you take in account like the vision that you have for your business, like what's the grand vision? Who do you want to be known for? What do you want to stand for? Who do you want to be recognized for, right? And then creating that vision for yourself. Like for me, I just want to be the go-to place for projector entrepreneurs to come to, to grow their online businesses. So then the first thing I ask myself is, if I am the person creating this, right, this business to support projector entrepreneurs, if I'm the person creating this, how would I be showing up, on a day-to-day basis? What would I focus on? What would I say to myself? And how would my home or surroundings be, right? Because there's so many pieces that fall into this, but really, I had a session with one of my private clients around this too. And for her, what she realized is that her relationship to food wasn't a match to the CEO identity she was building. So it's not always just business related. In fact, You have to look in all areas of your life, because especially as projectors, if we have to be different people in different areas of our lives, that's incredibly draining. So the most efficient thing is really to be you and to stand for what you believe in all areas of life, because then you don't need to switch masks, then you don't need to switch identities, right? And that is what real authenticity really means, right? You can just be who you are anywhere in your life. So let's look at a few more things. First of all, this is what I just said, how would I be showing up, right? So this was for me too, the switch where I was like from working out in the mornings, maybe 3 or 4 times a week, to doing it almost every day. And it's an every day in my head, but I give myself the option of once in a while opting out, right? But now it's like a non-negotiable, as are my cold showers, you know, when I do take a shower, but I do most mornings because of the little workout that I do. And then once in a while, I give myself the option to not do it, but it's really always focusing on the feeling of how I feel after, right? That feels like, yeah, I want to feel invigorated. I want to feel that post cold shower feeling and really have that invigorate me all day. Yes, I am doing that, right? Or whatever it is, but that was before just an optional. It's like, oh yeah, I could do that. Now it's no, I have to take care of myself in that way every day so that I can show up for my clients and my business that way, because I know it makes me more productive. I know it gives me more consistency and energy, for example. I know it regulates my moods more, right? For example, with like my morning workout. So how would you be showing up if you are the person creating that vision, creating that business? What would you focus on, right? So this is especially the case if you have a lot of friendship drama or relationship drama, and that can be so enticing, right? But do you really want to still focus on that when there's so much to do in your business, right? And that has helped me too a lot to disengage from or make like difficult conversations shorter, or maybe opt out for a while if they don't go anywhere. And because I know I have to focus on my business, I have to be focused, right? Like I can't let myself get distracted with those drama things so much anymore. And that doesn't mean it's conflict avoidance. It's more like I used to be able to engage in fights for a few hours nonstop, but the fights wouldn't go anywhere, right? Nowadays, I just don't do that anymore. It's like, if that's not going anywhere, let's just talk another time or find another way to resolve this, instead of just pushing the sword and, you know, throwing the tennis ball back and forth. What would I say to myself? Like, how do I talk to myself as a CEO, right? And how would your home and surroundings be? So that is also a big piece of like, if you are the CEO of your business, if you are the person creating this vision, this business, would you really still have that pile of junk in the living room, for example? Or would you still really have an uninspiring work area, right? Those are the things, like, as the CEO, as the business owner who is making shit happen in your business, like, how do your home surroundings or your work surroundings or both need to be, right? So let's look at a couple more things. And these questions that I just gave you, they will give you a good indicator of, like, for you to find your own deep wisdom with this too, like how would you show up, right? But then I also want to look with you at a few just general things that are just very, very helpful to embody as a leader, as a CEO. So first of all, you want to have that solid and safe and confident relationship with money. So for that, go into the money section and work through that. Be really honest with yourself and go really deeply into that. Let money talk to you, see what comes out of it. Then the next thing, personal power, you know, that no matter what mentality, no excuses, right? Not like, oh, I can't write an email today. because my spelling software isn't working, or, you know, yes, we do want to go with what feels good to us most of the time. But when we're in the middle of a launch, for example, and we've committed to something, not to opt out just because we don't feel like it, right? There needs to be a little bit of a, I'm going to do this no matter what, even if it's hard. Or, for example, I want to build this business and I want to make it work no matter what. And that means that I might take this part-time job for a couple of days a week until my business brings in the money that pays the bills, you know? So where in your life are you not in your personal power? Where do you still make excuses for things? And this could be other areas too, not just your business. Where do you not have that no matter what mentality yet? This also includes, how are you spending your time, you know? Do you waste a lot of time with things that have nothing to do with your business and that are maybe a habit from before you had a business? Or is it something where you are making excuses of, yeah, I need to watch 4 hours of Netflix a night, even if it goes until 1 a.m. and I don't get a lot of good sleep. But I need those 4 hours in front of the TV to recuperate, right? Is that really true? And is that sleep deprivation beneficial to you? How are you spending your time, you know? What are you prioritizing in your life? That could also be other things, you know? Are you prioritizing speaking on the phone with your friends for 2 or 3 hours a day, where you could be doing other things, or using your morning time, for example, where you might be most creative for like household work, right? So it's like, what are you prioritizing? And where are you procrastinating? Where may you be wasting time? And this is not something where you get a bad grade or something. This is just something for you to be really, really open and honest with yourself, because you want to build this CEO mentality. You want to make this work, right? And this is the CEO mentality, 6 figures, multi 6 figures and plus, right? You just grow into it and you refine it more and more and more. Then another big piece, and if you've watched the money thing already, the money section, confidence, right? Money is drawn to confidence, and money is important in a business because you want your business profitable, because that's when it can survive. And the more profitable your business is, the more people you can help. Never mind even talking about your own desires, right? We all love money. There might be a few who don't, but most people I've met, they really love money, but they have this weird relationship with it where they might not want to love it. But once it flows, you extra love it, right? So confidence, all areas of life, not just business, you know. For some clients that might be, I'm not confident with my body, I'm not confident with my parenting, I'm not confident with my relationship skills, or with how that's going, or with how I'm behaving there, or, you know, health. A lot of us, when we're new still in business, we're not confident with our business skills, imposter syndrome, right? So really, as a CEO and as somebody who wants to earn money doing what they love, the confidence is highly important, right? So check out, which areas in your life do you not have confidence in? What do you need? What do you need to work on? What did you already know? Can you hire help? You know, do you need a coach for helping you with your body confidence, with your eating habits? Do you need a parenting coach? Do you need to read some books, you know, or do some research? YouTube has a lot of university, you know, I always like to call it the YouTube university. How do you need to educate yourself? How can you up that confidence also in your coaching skills or in your craft? So really, really embodying confidence in all areas of your life. And this goes hand in hand a little bit also with the personal power and the confidence, but discipline, right? Can you be disciplined? Whether you have the will center defined or not, I don't have it defined. I have it completely open. So I had to become really, really wise about willpower. Most of the time in my business, I create content when I'm really, really feeling it. And I've also created the wisdom around being able to pull from my willpower and have that support me when I know I'm in the middle of a launch and it's the last day and there's one more email that needs to go out, and I'd rather go play with my kids or cook something or go for a walk or lie on the couch, but I know that email still needs to go out. I don't do it to torture myself. And if I need a little rest or a walk first, I'll do it, but I won't go to bed until I did it, right? That's just the discipline. Or like I said, also the discipline with my daily workouts, or the discipline with my nutrition. I can't eat junk food sustainably, because then my brain gets foggy, my energy is off. I'm just not as there, and when I'm not as there, I'm not as much in my power, and then I can't work as much or sell as much or do as much magic as I want to make. So just having the discipline around that as well. And then embodying the right mix of structure and flow. So your right mixture of the masculine and the feminine, right? Are you in your life afraid to put in structures a little more? That could be systems, that could be worksheets, that could be, calendar stuff, whatever it is. So having a structure you can flow in, right? The masculine and the feminine, the doing and the being, the allowing and the receiving. That includes, for the feminine, also for the flow, knowing when to stop pushing, when to stop controlling things that aren't coming into place and that aren't happening. Then this is also, of course, related to confidence, but the confidence in your decision-making process, right? How much do you trust and follow your authority? How much are you knowing that you're able to make the right decisions? And how little do you question yourself, right? For example, if you're afraid of commitment, there's a strong indicator that you're afraid you're going to make the wrong decisions. But in a business, decisions have to be made all the time. And if you don't know how to, then you're going to have major struggles and your business is not going to go anywhere. Whether that be emotional and you have to wait, or something that you can use immediately, like any other, like all the others. It doesn't matter if you have to wait, but the importance is that you have confidence in your decision-making process, that you trust yourself, right? And that you know how to use your authority and follow it. And that you really, really allow that to be your guidance. The next thing is, can you ask for support? Can you ask for help, right? Yes, I am teaching you in here how to keep everything so simple that you can do it all yourself for a while, but maybe you don't want to, or maybe in order to do this all yourself, you have to ask for support or help with your children more, right? Or get a dog walker, or, yes, we want to keep it simple. And yes, it's nice to know how to do everything ourselves. But yes, we are also meant to be supported, right? Not by the universe only, which is also here to always support us, but also there are people in your life that are happy to support you. Maybe it's family or friends who can take your kids, or you can do like a babysitting share with other parents, and saying, hey, I watch the kids this time, you watch the kids that time, and you set it up that way. Or hiring a babysitter, or like maybe your housework is taking too many hours from you every week or every other week. Maybe you can have a house cleaner come. Just like, where do you need support? And where are you not good at asking for support? There might be areas in your life where you're way more embarrassed, where you're like, oh, if I ask for support in that area, that will mean ... about me, that I'm a failure, or that I'm not a good mom, or this or that. So look for that, ask for that, like in your body, let your system give you the responses there. Next one, knowing how to say no to clients, and also everywhere else in your life, right? Because if you don't learn how to say no to invitations that aren't in alignment, so for that, also look back to the sections of how to use your motivation, for example, but also as a projector, just like, does it sound like fun? You know, we're meant to have fun and joy and to live in our bliss. So if an invitation, you feel like accepting an invitation from guilt or should, that is going to take you so much energy. Then, you know, sometimes we need, and I'm 3 lines, so I've done all of this, that's why I can tell you this, but sometimes we need to take those invitations just to know, but learn how to say no, you know, and say it in a nice way. You know, I'm Libra rising, Libra North Node, so I want to be nice, but it's also like a no is just a no. It's a full sentence, right? It's like, I don't feel we are a good fit. Or in your private life too, if a friend asks you to go out and you know you have a lot of work tomorrow, you're so excited to create, but you're like, okay, but you're not really feeling it, but you feel like you should say yes to that friend. Maybe you haven't seen them in a while, or you said no to them already. And then you just say yes, just because you don't feel like you should say no. And it's not a full-on yes. Those are the things that will, over time, like the less and less you do things that are not in alignment with you, the more you will be in your power. And the more you are in your power, the more successful your business gets. So it's good to understand these things, how they tie all together, because we want to know why things are the way they are, so that we can do more and more of what's good for us in our business, right? Then the next one, knowing how to regulate your own energetics and your nervous system. And for that, again, go to the energetics section, right? Use EFT, tap things out, using cold therapy. If you need a lot more holistic ways of regulating your nervous system, get Dr. Nicole LePera's book, How to Do the Work, the holistic psychologist, right? She has so many things in there, how to regulate, how to heal your nervous system, breathing, singing, like all the things, how to increase or how to improve your vagal tone from the vagus nerve that runs from your gut to the brain. And just knowing, like, if you have a bad day, you know, in the past, when I had a bad day or like a fight in my relationship, it would take me out 3 days. Nowadays, I don't have bad days anymore. I have like challenging times, but I know how to bring myself back. So I'm not taken out for like 3 days in a row. I'm just like, that was challenging. And now I'm back, right? Or I have a client call, right? I can't hang on a client call like that, right? So knowing how to regulate your own energetics and your nervous system, that is definitely a CEO skill that is very, very handy. Then we've already touched on that a little bit, but taking care of your own body, right? What does that mean to you? Knowing when enough is enough, first of all, because you have the undefined sacral. Knowing when to rest, like, do you feel so buzzy from so much energy, but so unclear on what's next? That's a good indicator where you're like, oh, I should be doing more because I have all that energy. But that's a good indicator that that's not your energy to use and your system is full. And then it might be time for a walk or 20 minutes of Shavasana to ground off the energies that aren't yours, right? So how much rest do you get? Do you get the amount of good hours, quality time of sleep that you need every night? If you don't, then why? Look at Matthew Walker's book, Why We Sleep, or look on YouTube or on Google, you know. Sleep is one of the most important medicines for projectors, and especially projector entrepreneurs. But also then during the day, it's not always just resting means to be lazy. Resting can also mean just sitting on the couch and reading for 5 minutes or 10, or going out into the garden and looking at your plants, or It can also just mean doing something completely different for a moment, for a little bit. Sorry. Then, do you eat healthy for your body? Do you give your body what it needs through the food? Some people like vegan, some people like vegetarian, other people swear by meat, it's very individual. Lots of veggies and is what every diet I think can agree on, except the complete meat diet. They're just like all meat. But find out what your body needs and nourish it in the way that it needs to be nourished, right? Because that's your fuel, that's your food, that's what keeps you going every day. And then exercise and movement. Where are you with that, right? Do you need to move a little more? Because the sluggishness oftentimes that projectors are feeling also comes from oftentimes not moving enough, right? So when I'm tired, I go for a walk, then I feel oftentimes a lot more invigorated after. But then also thinking like, do I have a defined route? In which case you might want to get the adrenaline out a little more, and like more intense sports can be good for you. When you don't have a defined route, undefined or open, like I do, gentle exercise does it for me, I can do hard exercise once in a while, but I don't need to. And sometimes it's not even as beneficial for my nervous system. But walks and dancing and yoga and a little bit of my strength training, like some trampolining with my kids, maybe, that's like vigorous enough for me, right? And my body reacts really well to it. And so important for us projectors, especially if we are CEOs, entrepreneurs, business owners, because we can get so studious, we could get so serious. When my projector group calls, everyone's always like very dedicated and taking notes and very serious. But let's have fun. You need to play. You need to make time every week. And I like to make time every day for something that's fun and playful for me, right? Because this joy, fun, and play, that is where we get our energy from. This is, I like to always call it the substitute for our sacral. And also, when we get so serious and we always like just dinging donging, yes, we need the focus. Yes, we need the discipline. But if we live there the entire time, then our motivation goes down the drain and it goes horrible. Then we don't want to do that stuff anymore, and our business is not fun anymore. And then we're dealing with a lack of motivation and burnout and that stuff again. So it's really, really important as a projector, entrepreneur, or CEO that you do make that dedicated time for fun and leisure and play. And then last but not least, nourish your friendship circle. Nourish your friends, your social life. Have a little bit of that in your life as well, right? Because oftentimes we projectors, we are so good with our time by ourselves, or we're like, oh, I have to wait for the invitation. You can reach out to friends, right? It's really, really nourishing, especially after the couple of years that we've been through, to really to have that social life again and talk about other things except just your business and stuff, and have it be someone else outside of your marriage or partnership as well to nourish you a little bit, bring in these different sparks and impulses and the different kind of inspiration into your life. So these are a lot, but there's just look at yourself, see where you are with them. Come back to that first question where I asked, if I'm the person creating this vision, creating this business, how would I be showing up and what would I be focusing on? And then take into account the ones that I brought to you as well, and see just like, where are you with each of them? Take an inventory, look where you are, where can you ask for more support? Where's your next steps? What can you embody more? Where do you need some help? All that kind of stuff. But really take this seriously, this identity, because this is who you are now. You're a business owner. And this is very important to have a solid understanding for yourself and like a solid a solid way of being around this. So it's kind of like a rule book a little bit that you create for yourself. Just showing that you mean it, showing that you're serious, you know, showing up for yourself and your business in this powerful way. So let me know how that goes. I'm curious to hear what you are going to embody more. And I will see you in the next training. Bye.